to the DolphinsTalk.com podcast, the most listened to daily Miami Dolphins podcast on the internet.
Miami's got the Dolphins, the greatest of all.
Come on, Dolphins fans. Time to fins up.
We're in the air, we're on the ground, we're always in control. And when you say Miami, you're talking Super Bowl. Cause we're the Miami Dolphins, Miami Dolphins, Miami Dolphins number one. Miami Dolphins, Miami Dolphins, Miami Dolphins number one.
Hello, Miami Dolphins fans. How are you today? And thank you for listening to the DolphinsTalk.com podcast on this Wednesday evening, March 19th. I am your host, Michael Leva, flying solo today. And we have another Miami Dolphins signing. It's Wednesday, late afternoon. They signed Willie Jr., a linebacker, to add to their linebacker core. And this is, again, one of the better signings Miami's made this offseason. We're going to break that down on today's show. And also talk about, it's mock draft season and everyone loves a good mock draft. Don't get me wrong. But I especially look at the ones put out by the reputable people like Mel Kiper, the people at CBS Sports, Fox Sports, the NFL Network's crew, and Daniel Jeremiah and some other publications. And they've all put out recent ones in the past 24 to 48 hours or so. And we're going to talk about all of them on today's show and just get sort of take the temperature to see where some of these guys see Miami going in round one of the mock drafts. We know it's just a mock draft, which is just an educated guess. Nothing really too scientific about it, but I always like to sort of follow them and see who's got their finger on the pulse of what this Miami Dolphins team needs and how they see it playing out. So we'll talk about that as well. Before we get to that, as always, shout out to the sponsor of today's show, Caneswear. Everyone go to caneswear.com for the best Miami Dolphins apparel on the internet. That's the website, caneswear.com. If you need a Miami Dolphins hat, hoodie, t-shirt, polo shirt, pullover, jacket, jersey, socks, anything with the Miami Dolphins logo on it, you want to go to the website, caneswear.com. Of course, they have stuff for the Miami Hurricanes, the Florida Panthers, the Miami Heat, the Miami Marlins as well, and all of the college teams in South Florida, Florida State stuff, Florida Gator stuff as well. But if you're a Dolphins fan, because you're watching this podcast, caneswear.com is the place to go. Better prices than anywhere else on the internet, and also different, unique, and better apparel as well. Caneswear.com. Also, Dolphins Talk Extra. Only a few hours left in both of our contests. We got a week left. Well, you got till Monday. Just go to patreon.com/DolphinsTalk. You just sign up for $3 a month, automatically enter to win this rare Tyreek Hill mini bobblehead. And I've gotten feedback I know Tyreek's not the most popular guy these days. Folks, sell it, make a mint. Sign up for $3 a month. You sell this, you'll get hundreds. They only made 144 of them. It's in a box, never been opened, mint condition. That's just for signing up at patreon.com/DolphinsTalk, $3. Now, once you sign up, and this has got to be done by noon Thursday, so get off your butt and do this one. Fill out a March Madness bracket we have up there. If you win this you win this Tua Tagovailoa full-size bobblehead. Again, they only made like 170 of these. Very rare. If you don't want it, sell it. You'll get a couple $100 for it, or keep it. Brand new, in the box, never been opened. Tua Tagovailoa bobblehead. Just got to go to patreon.com/DolphinsTalk. Again, not only for these contests, you get access to a private message board. You are automatically entered to all future contests we do where we give away autographed jerseys, autographed helmets, bobblehead dolls, hats, shirts, all different types of apparel, and also bonus podcasts. You'd like these podcasts for free. We got bonus podcasts, some about the Dolphins, some about pro wrestling, the NBA, Major League Baseball, television, music, whatever's on our mind. And we also have live interactive shows. Like this Friday night, we have a happy hour with Josh and myself. And you, if you are an extra member, can just hop on live with myself and Josh, and we can talk about whatever it is you want to talk about. So patreon.com/DolphinsTalk, $3 a month. You'll get your money's worth, I promise. All right, let's get to the news. The Miami Dolphins signed linebacker Willie Jr. to a one-year deal. Don't have the financials of the deal just yet. Willie Gay is he just turned 27 in February. He's played in 72 NFL games, starting 55. He's a two-time Super Bowl champion with the Kansas City Chiefs. Last year, 2024, he was a member of the New Orleans Saints for one season. Last year with the Saints, he played in 16 games. He started 8. He had 2 sacks and 28 tackles. Don't let those numbers discourage you, though. His time in Kansas City was pretty dang good. 2023, he started in 15 of 16 games he played in. And in 2022, a year he was suspended. So he played in only 13 games because of a suspension. And he started all 13 games. In the Chiefs 2022 Super Bowl season, Willie Gay Jr. had 8 tackles in the Super Bowl alone. So this guy showed up come playoff time in the biggest of the biggest games. The suspension he got in 2022 was he was suspended by the league for violating the league's personal conduct policy due to an arrest. The arrest happened in January 2022. Misdemeanor criminal destruction of property less than $1,000. He went over to see his son's mother, of his son. The mother of his son, he got into an argument with the mother. He damaged, and he damaged a vacuum cleaner, humidifier, and cell phone screen protector, as well as some stuff hanging on the wall and the door. And because of that, the league suspended him for 4 games. Okay. Just have to say it because that is part of his story and who we're signing here. But overall, I like this signing a lot. And you look at the Miami Dolphins on defense. They have only Zach Sealer on the line, which is a huge concern. And I have no earthly freaking idea what Chris Greer is doing, not signing any defensive tackles or even an end to put next to Zach Sealer. If he thinks he's going to fill all those spots in the draft, he needs his head examined. It won't work. But outside of Zach Sealer, they have a ton of holes on the line. In the secondary, you got Ramsey at one corner, Kader Kohou is your nickel, and that's pretty much it at corner. Yeah, you got guys like Cam Smith, he's a bust. You got Storm Duck, Ethan Bonner, who are just like unproven guys. So he needs help at corner. Needs at least one, probably 2. He signed Artie Burns the other day, but that's pretty much to just replace Sirianni Neal on special teams. He's not really a corner. He doesn't play corner anymore. I mean, outside of a handful of snaps a year. So corner, he needs a lot of help. Safety, he signed safeties. He signed Afedu Malafanu. He signed Ashton Davis. He re-signed, the guy's name's drawing a blank right now, Elijah Campbell. I don't know if he's got any starting safety. So the secondary is a little mess. The line is a huge mess. But linebacker's looking pretty dang good if you're a Miami Dolphins fan right now. Because I like this combination of Jordan Brooks, KJ Britt, Willie Gay Jr., and Tyrell Dotson is your top 4. Channing Tyndall is still technically on the roster, but I'm not going to talk about him. It's a waste of breath. He stinks. But those 4 linebackers of Brooks, Britt, Gay, and Dotson are pretty dang good. And that is a pretty solid linebacker group. One of the better linebacker groups we've had in recent years. And why it's good and why it is improved over recent years, they're all young. I think KJ Britt's like 26. Willie Gay just turned 27. Tyrell Dotson's less than 30. Jordan Brooks, I don't know. Let me check his age real quick here. But we got guys under 30 and guys who are durable. Okay. Durable players. Jordan Brooks is 27 as well. These are durable players. You know, Walker was injury prone. There was, even Long, not really injury prone, but had some injuries in his past. So it's like we got younger, more physical, and we got guys with specialized talent. KJ Britt is an old school 1980s run-thumping linebacker. Kind of reminds me a little bit of a young Elandon Roberts who was here in Miami a few years back. That's fine. We need a guy like that when we know the team is going to run. It's 2nd and 2 or 3rd and 1. We know, give me KJ Britt to play with his nose up near the line of scrimmage to hopefully stop a run play. You need guys like that. He has a specialty. Is he great in pass coverage? No, but that's okay. We have other guys who are pretty good in pass coverage, like a Jordan Brooks, and even like a Willie Gay Jr. here, who has a lot of experience playing all linebacker positions. Willie Gay has played inside linebacker, outside linebacker, so he's got experience here. And again, he started 55 of 72 games. In those 2 Chiefs seasons, not that long ago, 2022, 2023, he was a primary starter. 13 to 13 games. That was the year with a 4-game suspension. So he would have started every game. And then 2023, 16 games. So he must have missed one for an injury. He started 15 of them. And in those years, 88 tackles in the 13 games. Hello, that's a lot. And 2023 in 16 games, 58 tackles. He's good for anywhere from 1 to 2 sacks a year. He had 2 sacks last year with the Saints, 1 in 2023 and 2.5 in 2022. So he's good to 1 to 2 sacks a year. He's also got 4 career interceptions. Didn't have one last year, but he's got 4 in his career. He was a significant contributor on those Kansas City Chiefs Super Bowl teams. Last year with the Saints, not quite sure exactly what happened. I'll have to dive in that more, but he still started 8 games and played relatively well. So this helps Miami at linebacker, and it kind of takes – you look at – as we head towards the draft, the needs. As I said, defensive line, corner, and safety are top of the list, as well as offensive line. We know offensive line still a need. And this takes linebacker off the board, I think, at least in the early rounds. Once again, just get around 4, 5, 6. You want to take a linebacker, have at it, because you're just taking the best player available at that point. You're not, drafting for need in like round 5. That's just dumb. But we're talking those first 3 rounds, even probably the first 4 rounds, where you're looking to get someone who can come in and at least be second string as a rookie and contribute in some way. That kind of takes linebacker off the board, which is kind of good because not kind of good, but well, yes, it is good because it sort of checks a box of like we're okay at linebacker now. And the news that came out concerning a draft pick, the sensational, and I do mean sensational, linebacker out of Alabama, Jahad Campbell, who some people had going anywhere from pick 10, from around, pick 8, 9, 10 to probably no lower than 15, 16. It came out today. He has a torn labrum. He got hurt after because he was at the combine, was fantastic at the combine. And since the combine, just like a week or 2 back, he's torn his labrum. That's a 6 to 8 month injury. So a guy who was expected to go in the top part of round 1 is now probably going to miss half this upcoming season. Best case scenario, he's back mid to late September. Worst case, he's out till November. And that's going to cause him to fall in the draft. And he was someone who I think Miami might have had on their radar because he is, and just watch even if you're not one of these guys who like breaks down the all-22 tape or really even kind of knows what they're looking at when they watch film, he jumps off the screen. When you're watching this stuff, he is just everywhere. He can play middle linebacker. He can play outside linebacker. You can line him up at edge, and he's got moves to get to the quarterback. He is a human wrecking ball on defense. One of the better linebackers I've seen in this draft in many, many years, and he was so versatile. He could play multiple positions. He's going to fall in round 1. I don't think now Miami will take him, although since he has an injury, Chris Greer's probably licking his lips going, he's my guy, because he loves those injured players. And even if Miami took him, you can't be mad because he will be healthy eventually, and he is sensational. But I don't think Miami now would probably go linebacker because they have so many other pressing needs. Here's the thing, what Miami's done here through free agency, they do not have the luxury to draft best player available. They are drafting to fill a need, whether it's an offensive guard, whether it's a corner, whether it's a safety, or whether it's a defensive tackle. The luxury of Tyler Warren's the best player on the board. Let's just take the great tight end who might be a generational tight end. Can't do it. Got to pass on you because we got to field a team in September and we have 1 defensive lineman, or we have 2 corners, or we have no starting caliber safeties. So if someone falls at a position where you can be like, we can't pass on this guy, he's great, they're probably going to have to pass because they have put themselves in a corner where they have to draft for need. And that's not the best thing to do. It's not the not the best way to build a team, but that's the situation they're in because they have very little money. They're just signing these guys for 1-year deals, not vet minimums, but close to vet minimum. And they'll continue to sign some guys on it. But, as much as I like Willie Gay Jr. signing, as much as I like the Ryan Stonehouse signing, as much as I like the Westbrook signing at wide receivers, these aren't big money guys either. You have to put this in perspective. I'm saying I like it. I like it compared to the other signings they made. And I like it because I think they fill a role on his team. But, don't mistake my words as like this guy's going to put us over the top and now we're going to start to win games against the Bills. I'm not saying that. That ain't happening. It's just I like it in the context of we have so little money and we're getting guys who I think can at least contribute and fill a role. And I think this guy might start. I think there's a very good chance Willie Gay Jr. is probably going to be starting for the Dolphins next year at one of the linebacker spots. So we'll see, though. Like the signing, like what it does. And, so that's what happened Wednesday. Now, before I get to some mock draft talk, as always, shout out to everyone listening, watching at finheaven.com. Everyone go to finheaven.com, largest Miami Dolphins message board on the internet. Also, a shout out to our friends at the I Am a Miami Dolphins fan Facebook page, run by the great and talented Carlos Hernandez. If you're on Facebook, please be sure you are part of the I Am a Miami Dolphins fan Facebook page. And wherever you're listening to this podcast or watching it, if you're on YouTube, if you're watching this on YouTube right now, take a second, smash that like button. That's a little thumbs up deal. Smash that like button. Also, subscribe to the channel so you don't miss a show. And put up a comment. Let me know if you agree with what I'm saying about Willie Gay and some of the other stuff I say, or let me know if you think I'm a blithering idiot. That's okay too. Just be respectful about it. So smash a like button on YouTube, subscribe, and put up a comment as well. But if you're listening in traditional audio form on Apple Podcast, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Audible, Podbean, Podchaser, or one of the other hundreds of platforms we're on, subscribe to the channel. We have shows pretty much each and every day of the week, and this will continue for the most part in the lead up until the draft. There might be a day here or a day there where it's just a slow news day. We don't. Thursday, my show with Dudley Durong will be Thursday night, and then next week I start the draft shows with our draft guru Dante Colonelli as we break down the first few position groups, and I'll have a show with him every week leading up to the draft. So as a fan of the Dolphins, our draft shows are different. I'm not going to waste your time talking about Cam Ward. We're not drafting Cam Ward. One, he's so far out of reach, not going to happen. So we're going to talk about quarterbacks, but we're going to talk about the guys who Miami could take, round 2, 3, 4, 5, possibly. And even the guys looking around 2, probably not going to happen, but we'll talk about them at least because you never know. We're not going to waste time talking about Cam Ward. When it comes to positions we don't need a lot, like say running back, we're not going to talk about the guys who are the Ashton Gentry or the kid from North Carolina who are expected to go in round 2. We expect Miami to take running backs, around no sooner than round 3. And even that's a long shot. So we'll talk about the guys who are supposed to go around 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, who are scheme fits for Miami, realistic. So we cover the draft for Dolphins fans. We're not going to break down every player. It's a waste of time. We're going to break down the players who we think are fits for the Dolphins in the rounds where Miami might take them. Obviously, when it comes to offensive line, when it comes to safety corner, when it comes to defensive tackle, we're going to talk about all of them because they could take them starting round 1, 2, 3, 4, and they might take multiples at those spots. But when we get to tight end, we're not going to take a tight end in rounds 1 or 2. We're not going to talk about the tight ends in rounds 1 or 2. We're going to talk about the tight ends that actually make sense for the Dolphins. A lot of these podcasts do shows about the draft. And they talk about guys who have zero chance of going to the Dolphins, and that's just a waste of time. I don't want to waste your time. I don't want to waste my time. So be prepared for the Dolphins Talk Draft preview shows next week with Dante, where we give you smart, educated draft previews about guys who actually might come to Miami or are in the range that could get picked by Miami. Okay. Last part of today's show, mock drafts. Again, everyone puts one out, but look, if you're on social media, please don't send me your mock draft. I really don't care because everyone does them. And it's like talking to me about your fantasy football team or your fantasy 10BA team. I don't care. It's like, I know it matters to you, but everyone's got one. It's just an opinion. It's like, it's fine. But there are the experts, the guys who are actually employed by reputable outlets. And this week, they've all put out new ones. And I want to talk about them. I got 1, 2, 3, 4. I got 5 in particular. First one is Rob Ring from Fox Sports. Now, if you don't know Rob Ring's been covering the NFL draft for 100 years. He's not as popular as a Mel Kiper, Todd McShay, or a Mike Mayock type. But Rob Ring is very smart. He works for Fox, and most people don't go to Fox for their draft coverage, but he's been covering this forever. He has the Dolphins taking Walter Nolan, the defensive tackle out of Ole Miss. And this is a very good pick if it were to happen. Again, you got Miami drafting for need. Should Walter Nolan be the 13th pick of the draft? Probably not. But when you don't have any defensive linemen outside of Zach Sealer, and we're making signings still of a punter, Artie Burns, Willie Gay. We're not signing anybody on the line. It makes you think they're going to shift the focus to the line in the draft, and you're drafting for need, not best player available. And Walter Nolan is either the first or second defensive tackle in this draft. He is big, he is athletic, and he's got a motor that does not stop. Now, most of these draft experts have Kenneth Grant out of Michigan as the number one defensive tackle. Rob Rang has Walter Nolan as the number one defensive tackle, and let me check that. The number one is Mason Graham, but he's probably going like top 5, top 6. So most people have Kenneth Grant, also from Michigan, same place as Mason Graham, as the number 2. And most people have Walter Nolan as the number 3. Rob Ring has got Walter Nolan as a number 2. Mason Graham going to be out of reach. He could go anywhere from 3, 4, 5, 6, 7-ish, and he'll be long gone. So Rob Ring has got Walter Nolan. His reasoning is his write-up is the injury to Tua Tagovailoa was obviously the biggest factor in Miami's disappointing 8-9 season, but don't overlook the loss of defensive tackle Christian Wilkins to the Raiders in free agency last offseason. The Miami Dolphins could see similar attributes in Nolan, whose burst and agility makes him the number 1 defensive tackle on many teams' boards. Well, maybe, but Mason Graham is the number 1. But either way, Walter Nolan wouldn't be a bad pick because he is a plug-and-play guy you can put next to Zach Sealer, middle of your defensive line. So that's where Rob Raines got it. And if that's the pick, total thumbs up for me. I love it. I would not be mad. And I don't see that as a reach. I know some people would. Daniel Jeremiah, NFL Network. He put out a mock draft on Tuesday. He has Miami taking Malachi Starks out of Georgia, the safety. This one gets a thumbs down for me. I do not like this pick at all. And I know a lot of people love Malachi Starks. I like him. I don't love him. If we're going out on a first date, we're going Dutch. I'm not paying for the whole thing. And his reasoning is, the further we get into the evaluation process for more teams, I find that they are in love with Starks' game. He would be a plug-and-play replacement for Javon Holland with the versatility to play as a high safety or a nickelback. It's all true. It's all true. Starks is that type of guy. I just don't value a safety at 13. I think you can get a comparable safety around 2 or even around 3. And that's kind of where if they pick him, it's not the end of the world. I'm not going to be like stomping mad. But I just prefer they go other areas. I think there's more value in getting a defensive tackle, a corner, or even like an offensive lineman if they want to go that route, instead of a safety here. And once again, I like Starks. I don't think he's worth the 13th pick of the draft, and I don't know how much of an impact if you take a guy 13th, I want an impact. Walter Nolan, he's going to be on the field a lot, clogging up the middle, opening up stuff for Zach Sealer, and he's going to beef up your trenches where we know Miami's soft. Malachi Starks is just like a poor man's Holland as a rookie, and he might be great in time. It's just So that one I'm not a huge fan of. Mel Kiper, the Godfather, he put out a mock draft on Tuesday as well. And this one, I'm against taking offensive line in round 1. The reason is I know we need help there. I'm not naive to that. But I look at the defense for all the reasons I just said, and it's a disaster, folks. It really is. And there's no free agents out there we're going to sign on the line, even if we do sign 1 or 2, that you can say that's a starter. That's unless Campbell comes back. But here's the deal. Calais Campbell probably not going to pick a team till like June or July, so we're not going to know. And I doubt he's going to come back here. I think he's going to go to a team that's got a chance to win, and I think Miami's going to rebuild, honestly, just between you and me. So I wouldn't go offensive line. I think you can get a starting guard like in round 2 or round 3. I don't think you need to take one in round 1. But if this guy fell, I'd be okay with it. Mel Kiper has Miami taking Will Campbell, who is an offensive tackle at LSU, but because he's got short little T-Rex arms, many people think he's going to move into guard because he can. He has the athleticism to do that. Mel Kiper said left tackle Teron Armstead will be 34 if he returns for the 2025 season, but that's a big if. He is mulling retirement, and the Miami Dolphins are operating as if he won't be back. So considering the concussion and injury history of Tua, Miami should be focused on finding Armstead's heir apparent. Plus, the team is ranked 28th in pass block win rate last season, so that needs upgrading anyway. Yes, Campbell's arm length come into question. He's measured to 32 and 5/8 inches at the combine, which isn't ideal for an NFL offensive tackle, but plenty of tackles start their careers at guard, and Campbell's great footwork points to a successful career despite length limitations. So for arm length thing, this is really where you get in the weeds here. His arm length for an offensive tackle, you want no less than 34 inches. And Will Campbell's at 32 and 5/8, which is short for an offensive tackle. But again, he can play guard. He is at guard, he'd be sensational. You're probably drafting a future Pro Bowl guard. And in a pinch, he can play offensive tackle. It's just his arm length isn't ideal. So some guys are going to take advantage of that and probably beat him a little, but he'd still be pretty good. Because sometimes at the end of the day, you want a football player and you can't get caught in the weeds of, well, his arm is only 32 and 5/8. They're not 34 inches. Can you stay in front of a guy and block him? That's all that really matters. I know the ideal length, but sometimes if he's a football player who plays hard, has heart, and is smart, I don't care if his arm's like 1 inch too small. So that's Will Campbell. Now, if you just heard what I said, Mel Kiper does not mention Patrick Paul. And he had a conference call today, and Barry Jackson of the Miami Herald asked, he goes, look, you have Miami taking Will Campbell, who some people think should go in the top 5, but because of the arm length, Mel thinks he's going to fall because he's really not an offensive tackle, which is fair. And he goes, they have Patrick Paul, and you're talking about Will Campbell here possibly being Armstead's heir apparent. And Mel, in the nicest way possible, was like, he doesn't believe in Patrick Paul. That's just put it out. And here's the deal. I get it. I'm not a PFF guy. I think it's all crap. But if you are a PFF guy, like Patrick Paul's PFF numbers last year were like one of the worst for an offensive tackle, especially in run blocking and stuff. It was bad. Now, I'm not a PFF guy, so I don't put much into that. I watch the games. I watch every snap. Most of the times, I watch each game twice every snap. Patrick Paul, when he played, he had his times where he struggled, but I didn't see a guy that was like totally awful. Now, he also wasn't an every down, every game starter. You have to take that into account. So I think if I want to see Patrick Paul this upcoming year, that's why I don't think Armstead's coming back. I think Mel's right on the ball. He's done. So I'm not necessarily worried about Patrick Paul if he has to start. But again, 4 or 5 games in, if he sucks, yeah, you're going to have to bench him. And if you got someone like Will Campbell on the team, you can then slide Will Campbell over to offensive tackle, which then is going to stink because that probably means Liam Eichenberg is now going to start a guard. But what are you going to do about that? But yeah, so that's why Will Campbell, like I said, most mock drafts have him going 3, 4, 5, or not 3, 4, 5, 6 area. If he falls to 13, I wouldn't be mad at it. But me personally, I don't want nothing to do with him. I don't want any offensive lineman in round 1. That's just me, though. That's just me. I know I'm in the minority. I know all Dolphins fans want all offensive line at all time, which sit tight. I got your wet dream about to come up. Joe Klatt, Fox Sports. Joe Klatt's their lead couch football analyst. He also has been covering the draft. He's got Miami taking Tyler Booker, guard, Alabama. Not happening. Chris Greer is never going to take a guard in round 1. He might take an offensive tackle like Will Campbell, who can play guard, because then he's got position flexibility and he's got a 5th-year option on an offensive tackle. And those guys get paid, just as much as quarterbacks these days, it seems like. But he'll never take a true guard like Tyler Booker in round 1. Plus, Tyler Booker's not a scheme fit for Miami. And plus, in his write-up, Joe Klatt, I'm not even going to read it because it's so wrong. It's not even funny. But here's the deal. Joe Klatt's a smart guy. He did almost no research for this one for Miami because he talks about Patrick Paul is going to shift from guard to tackle. Memo to Joel. Patrick Paul never played guard. He can't play guard. That's the whole problem. And why, as much as I like him, I questioned the pick last year. We needed a guy who can play guard or tackle. Patrick Paul can't play guard. So why Joel Klatt said Patrick Paul's got to shift from guard to tackle, he has no clue what he's talking about. And Tyler Booker is just not going to happen. If it does happen, Chris Greer should be fired on the spot. 2 more mocks. The Detroit Free Press. This is a reputable outlet. I know nobody reads newspapers anymore, but this is actually one of the few that are left that's actually reputable. And I love this pick. They got the Miami Dolphins selecting defensive end / edge Shamar Stewart out of Texas A&M. And he is probably my first or second favorite player in this draft for the Dolphins, who they have a realistic chance of getting. I've seen some mocks where he's going as high as like 8, 9. I've seen some mocks where he falls to the end of round 1. I'd be very surprised if he's there at 13. He ain't falling to the end of round 1. This guy is a physical freak. He is a defensive end from Texas A&M, and he is a freak. He went to the combine, and I know it's the underwear Olympics, and he put on a show. But this guy, he looks the part. He plays the part. The only drawback, which again, if you're a fan of the Dolphins, it's not a drawback. His stats at Texas A&M, he didn't have many sacks. Well, who did they say that about as well? Oh, Chop Robinson, Penn State. Oh, he didn't have many sacks in college. And how did he do last year for the Dolphins? Pretty freaking good. So if they're saying Shamar Stewart has got this, he's built like a pro. He looks like someone who could play in the NFL now, but he just didn't have sacks. Don't worry. College game, the pro game is night and day. The sacks will be there. This guy is built like an NFL stud. And again, you put him opposite Zach Sealer, and the Dolphins' defensive line is going to be hell for years to come. Opponents are not going to want to go up against Zach Sealer and Shamar Stewart. If I had my choice, round 1 pick, it's either Shamar Stewart or Will Johnson, the cornerback out of Michigan. There's been other mocks, not by guys as reputable as these outlets, who have Will Johnson falling to Miami. I think his pro days I think it's Thursday or Friday, and he's going to run. I know last year he had a turf toe and he missed a bunch of games, and he's had some foot injuries, but not like minor injuries, nothing major. And he didn't run at the combine. If he runs 4.5 or less, I don't think he'll be on the clock at number 13 for Miami. But if he runs 4.5 or less and he's on the clock, Miami runs up to Will Johnson, cornerback, Michigan. If you put him next to Ramsey, you're good to go. He's that good. And I know people are going to say, well, Chris Greer missed on, Noah. He missed on Cam Smith. I get it. But just because you strike out once or twice doesn't mean you go up there and stop trying. Shohei Ohtani strikes out. He keeps going to the plate his next time at bat. You can't just not take a position because you whiffed on that spot a couple times. And I think this guy is not like Noah, not like Cam. He is so freaking stinking good. If his 40 time is good, and his turf toe and some of the other things with his foot, which very minor, are clean. If he's there at 13, you just take him. But if he's clean and he runs a 4.5 or less, he won't be there at 13. So Shamar Stewart's my fallback plan, and that's a great fallback plan. Okay, last one. As I said, this one's most Miami Dolphins fans' wet dream. Because I know fans of Dolphins, anytime there's a mock draft, this fan base for the Miami Dolphins is so freaking damaged and so scarred and so obsessed with offensive line. They want every pick to be an offensive lineman. Well, CBS today on Thursday put out a 3-round mock draft. And in this 3-round mock draft, if you're one of those fans who don't want to hear about Will Johnson at corner, Shamar Stewart and edge, you just want every pick to be offensive line. Round 1, pick 13, Kelvin Banks, offensive tackle from Texas, can also play guard. Pick 48, they got Tyler Booker, guard from Alabama, falling to 48. And then at pick 98, for good measure, at the end of round 3, they got Miami taking another offensive tackle, Holland Pierce out of Rutgers. So with this CBS 3-round mock draft, the fact you got no safeties, who cares? You got no lineman outside Zach Sealer, go screw. Zach, you have to play everyone on the line. You don't have any safeties who are truly any good, the hell with it. We're taking 2 offensive tackles and a guard. We're going to put them next to Aaron Brewer, Patrick Paul, James Daniels, and Austin Jackson. We're going to have 7 offensive linemen. And if 3 guys get hurt, it ain't going to matter because we're going to use all of our draft stock in the early rounds, the top 100, on 3 offensive linemen. Is this realistic at all? Not a snowball's chance in hell. But if you want offensive linemen and nothing but offensive linemen, this is the mock draft you're going to print out and hang up over your bed and read every night before you go to bed. It's not going to happen, but I just found it amusing that whoever did that CBS mock draft either has a wicked sense of humor or didn't pay attention when they got to round 3 and I already drafted 2 offensive linemen. Let's give Miami one more. I don't know, but that one is hilarious. All right, that's all for today's show. Thank you all for listening. Again, folks, patreon.com/DolphinsTalk. $3 a month. And look, you waste $3 a month on coffee. Might as well spend it on Miami Dolphins content and have a chance to win some cool prizes. At the start of the year, we gave away a Mercury Morse autographed jersey. That's right, a Mercury Morse autographed jersey. We gave away, I think it was a Tua bobblehead as well. Now, Tyreek Hill. And if you fill out a bracket, sign up, fill out a bracket before Thursday at noon, and you win the March Madness contest, you win this Tua Tagovailoa full-size bobble. Patreon.com/DolphinsTalk. If you're having trouble finding the page, just email, tweet me. I will send you the link directly. But $3 a month, you can win that. Again, YouTube, smash the like button, put up a comment, subscribe to the channel. Whichever outlet you're listening to this on, whether Apple Podcast, iHeartRadio, Spotify, Audible, Podbean, subscribe. We have shows each and every day of the week. We give you the best coverage, hence why we were nominated for not one, but 2 Sports Podcast Awards, up against the likes of the Mina Kimes Show, Ocho and Shannon Sharp, the Dan Lebitard Show. That's right, our podcast. There was only like 10 podcasts nominated. We're one of the 10, okay, up against them. We give you the best coverage, no bullshit, no spin. We don't tell you what you want to hear. We tell you what you need to hear. For those of you longtime listeners, you know that. If you're newer, that's who we are. So subscribe to this podcast if you're a fan of the Dolphins. We give you straight coverage. We don't hate, we just state. We tell you the truth, whether it's good or bad. No agenda. No agendas are pushed. And also visit the website, DolphinsTalk.com. Bunch of new articles. All these mock drafts I read are up, except for one. I have to get the last one up. And we have a ton of articles, ton of podcasts, videos from Dougley Durong, who's now part of DolphinsTalk.com as well. So visit the website, DolphinsTalk.com, and on all of our social media outlets at Dolphins Talk, whether it's Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, YouTube, Blue Sky, or wherever you have a social media account at Dolphins Talk. We are there. Everyone, have a great Wednesday night. Have a great Thursday. We'll talk to you again after a while. And folks, don't forget, we must put an end to highway profanity.